everyone, I'm Swathi, co-host of Best of HR Forum. So today we are with the first episode of Let's Talk HR. So today we are going to discuss on the topic the rapid changes happening in the recruitment process. And for that, we have a special guest, a person who has 15 years of experience in human resource, who has worked with the leading MNCs and most of the Indian companies. And now he is working as Human Resource Director with RapidValue. So happy welcome, Aravind Warrier.
Thank you, Swathi. It's my honor. Thank you.
All right. So how are you doing? How is pandemic changing you, or maybe how are you evolving with pandemic?
In fact, more than evolution, this is actually a revolution in terms of new framing the entire thoughts about the way we were doing all these years, all this, say, 30, 40 years, we have been doing the same kind of things. But the so-called pandemic has really shown us a new perspective. So really, I would not always say bad, but then I think that it has brought in, of course, yes, a lot of difficulties and a lot of people are going through struggles. But overall, if you look at it, has brought us new perspective in terms of our thoughts, learning, and opportunity per se.
All right. So how is life with RapidValue? It has been 3 years, more than 3 years now. So yes, please share some experience.
Okay, let me just give you a small nuggets about what RapidValue is. My organization, RapidValue, has been global leader in terms of digital products, engineering solutions per se, which is into space of mobility, cloud, and IoTs and AIs of the world. We are actually serving a lot of Fortune 500 companies to 1,000 companies outside. And one important thing is we try to see how best we can bring the innovation angle to whatever we deliver to our customers. Second, that we have our spread across other set of geographies like Germany, UK, Middle East, Canada, and all. So that's about my organization. So I just completed my 3 years on October 30th. So it's been fantastic journey, very exciting because the leaders to whom I report, they have been very exciting enough. They bring me a lot of new challenges, which for me, it's a learning opportunity per se. So the 3 years journey was super exciting. Looking forward for more exciting days. Thank you.
Yeah, that's really good to know. So yes, let's start with the topic recruitment in pandemic. Aravind, I would like to ask you, how do you see the change in the hiring process happening after the pandemic, or let's say due to the pandemic?
Okay, interesting question. In fact, the best thing is basically hiring. Everything is continuing the same way. In fact, maybe if we go back, say 3-4 months back, or maybe say around March, April, May timeframe, people were totally upset what is going to happen. They were totally clueless. But I think great minds, great leaders across, from the CEOs to CHROs, everyone had this question: what is going to be the future of work, or maybe future of job, or what exactly is going to be future? So I think it's one thing is certain, which is like a positive thing, or I would put it like an optimist determination. What we decided is we definitely are going to have a vaccine, but the problem was when. And I think now we are a little bit clear about what is going to be in future. So I think situations with regard to hiring is continuing. There I can see a spur in terms of total hike in terms of hiring this across industries also. But the numbers, let's assume if some other organizations say they are going to hire 50, there could be a drop of 30, but still that 30 is a good number is what I feel. So there is no drastic change per se, Swati. It is positive. It will pick up. I'm quite positive about that.
All right. So due to this pandemic, many lost their jobs, layoffs happening, terminations. So, and they're trying to get a job. Somehow they're attending so many interviews, and they really feel it hard because to expose the reason I lost a job due to this pandemic. So candidates feel really so bad. Most of them feel so bad to expose the real reason. So what if a candidate comes to you and tell you like, actually telling lame excuses for losing a job? Okay, and how do you handle the candidate?
Brilliant thought, brilliant question. So I think one important thing is everyone knows, almost like it isn't I mean, this is something which is very important to everyone who's attending this, probably whoever is planning to see this video. One important thing is this pandemic has given way to a lot of companies. The company itself is dissolved. A lot of people are not getting the salaries. Some people are working with a lot of mental pressure at personal side as well as the professional side. So I would ask everyone to be having to when they're addressing when they're planning to attend any kind of interest, be your authentic self. And losing a job at this point of time, people would not, unless and until you're failing to pass your technical, they will still assume that you're a good performer, and it's because of this pandemic circumstance you have lost it. So my thing is, when someone is going for any kind of interviews, be your true self, be as authentic as possible, be transparent, nothing will happen, they'll still get a job. But as long as you're a performer, you'll still get a job, you'll still get a promotion, you'll still get a hike. But my true this one to answer your question is, whenever you're attending an interview, you can always be open in saying that I lost a job because the company itself is not doing it. Company has started laying off. There is a redundancy which has happened, and that's why I lost a job, and I'm looking out. But the question is, if the looking out is happening for a long time, people can presume or assume that you are an incompetent person. But then again, you can prove that by taking certifications or doing some kind of courses, write blogs, write white papers. So the world is full of opportunities and learning. Try to show that you're a constant learner, you're a curious person, you will still get a great job.
That's pretty much a good insight.
Thank you.
As you mentioned about certifications, so it has been trending nowadays, saying that I got 30 certifications, I have 40 certifications, and something which is which is actually very curious for me is they are taking certifications away from their core domain. Sometimes they fail to implement in their job roles due to the limitations of the responsibilities they are handling with the job. So, do you think this is something necessary to have, or how do you think so?
Another brilliant striking thought. It is not about taking a lot of certifications. I'm a firm believer, because I just had one of my AICT kind of we had a session there. So I was just telling to I was addressing a couple of teachers and faculties, and one thing which I was always trying to tell everyone, it's not the amount of certifications you take. You need to understand. Finally, at the end of the day, an HR person taking finance certifications, it's good. A finance person taking HR and marketing, well and good. But you need to understand, how can I bring something called an integrative thinking? How can I apply it? At the end, it's not about taking a lot of certifications. It's not about, I mean, studying from an Ivy League and all those things. I with a lot of respect to Ivy League schools, but at the end, it's all about how you are able to execute things in the ground, how you are able to articulate your theoretical knowledge in the ground. How can you make things practically possible? A person who has got high intellectual IQ and then primarily is not able to, if you ask him what is a performance management, can you bring some kind of thought around it? If he or she is not able to deliver that, that's gone. Similarly, you have a Node.js, React.js kind of things. If he wants to do something around a blockchain, well and good. But you need to understand, everyone gauges you about something called an integrative thinking. How can you connect the dots? How can you have that kind of what do you say thinking in terms of seeing the forest and connecting it to a tree? So for me, if someone comes with me saying that I've done 100 certifications, I normally would ask him questions around those 100 certifications. And if he or she is failing to put that demonstrated competence in the ground, he has failed. Because then certification becomes something which he can always show in your profile, and then I don't know. I'm a firm believer certification is something which you should take. Then there is no harm in taking any kind of certifications. I let me be very honest here. But you should always understand, if I'm taking a certification, what is the value add which I'm going to get? Because interviewers would definitely ask you, tell me what is that certification? What are one, two, three, four things which you have learned from that? And if you fail to say that, then it looks quite weird.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, and this pandemic has given a thought that the ones those who have lost their jobs or maybe have faced the terminations or anything, they are trying to change their job role. For say, a Node.js developer is transforming himself to something PHP or maybe digital marketing. This is happening because of the pandemic. He sees, or maybe he feels that he is not he is not attending, or he is not doing great in those interviews which has his core domain. So he
Correct.
tries to change his job role, his he tries to change his own core domain to something else. So what if a person comes to you without experience but have some basic knowledge with this, with some of the certifications of some other domain for some other role? How do you see it?
Okay. Good question, Swati. So, Swati, very important thing is you need to understand this is something which I have to tell and address freshers, students. Whatever you have learned over these 4 years, I'm addressing engineers at this point of time, but whatever you have learned for 4 years or 5 years, whatever it is, any kind of courses, you need to understand one thing. As in, this is something which you need to understand. You cannot say if you are being interviewed for any kind of SC role or any kind of systems engineer or a software engineer, you cannot say, I don't know about C. I don't know about Java. All these basic questions are important. I'm a firm believer as long you have learning capability or you have the learning sensors around, you can do great things. And it's not about taking certifications and you forget your basics. You never cannot forget your basics. A computer engineer needs to understand the fundamentals, including the coding to anything. If you're going for a testing, that doesn't mean that you should forget C, C++. You should even understand what is assembly language. I always challenge my HR team also, because when I have to go for an interview, even at some of the colleges, I start with asking them, tell me what is data encapsulation. So some other students look at me in a weird manner saying, why me? Why are you asking software questions to me? Sorry, in C++ and pointers and all those kind of questions. You're here to ask me only HR questions. So I say no. And this is something which is very important. As HRs also, we also should be knowing a little bit about the so-called technology. What exactly is loops? What exactly is pointers? And I think as long you have your voracious reader and you have learning sensors, you can learn everything and anything. But never ever compromise on your basics, because your fundamentals, if it is not right, probably everything gets shaky. Because if you have to learn new language, you have to unlearn new language. All those things require your fundamentals. You cannot avoid it. Please don't take theory for namesake. It is important. When your professors are teaching you something, try to see if you can see a big picture around it and then start working it. And it should be like it should entice you. It should really, I mean, what do you say, inspire you to do great things. Like Elon Musk. What he says is, now if you have a YouTube, and if you're really, I mean, if you can, I'd say, put in 100 hours in a week, you can create a dent in the universe. And that is something which I would like to tell all dreamers, doers, and leaders of the future. Thank you.
So you mean to say that a person who has applied for some other new core domain and he is a fresher in that domain, so there is more probability to hire him. That's what you mean to say?
Absolutely.
If he has got the basics so strong.
Absolutely. What the best thing is, that always tells me two things. One is basically he or she is really scaling in terms of learnability. Second, the most important thing, for me, is basically he or she is showing an important trait of making a stretch or coming out of the comfort zone. These are the two things which will excite me to hire those kind of minds. Because if you're in a comfort zone, you'll be still doing the coding, and that is one thing which always determines potential. Your performance for 2 years need not give you a promotion. Let's make it very clear. You have been coding fantastically. Your rating is not that. Your promotion factor or promotability is depending on the way you can stretch, the way you can create an impact in your current role and the next upcoming role. And good question. So I think if you want to learn and grow in anywhere in life, you should show that I can take risk, I can learn more, I can expand my thought across. Not that I am an expert here and I'll still survive. That is good. But if you take risk, you learn more.
Yeah, all right. So how do you wish to define the effectiveness of TA process in pandemic in terms
Good.
of candidate engagement, in terms of the hiring percentage? So how do you like to put it?
Fantastic. Now, the important question for everyone is basically, it's not about just hiring numbers and filling the positions. TA has more critical point, because right talent at the right place, if that is not met, you're just hiring and filling the positions, and then you will see high attrition. You will see disengaged workers, disengaged culture, all these things spurring up. So very important thing is, I always have to say that TA plays the most important role. TA is very important, and you cannot, what do you say, reduce the importance of. I would put it at an rating scale of 70%, I mean, to put it in a proportional manner, I would say TA plays almost 70% of the whole HR gamut of functions. I would at least give it 70% importance, because if you don't have right candidate, the entire thing goes for a toss. The amount of efforts, time, and energy everyone is putting, it goes for a toss. Because he joins, the day one he will start cribbing. We'll also ensure he spreads the negativity across and all those things. So the entire efforts goes for in vain. And from an delivery standpoint also, the manager is not able to make him employee from the day one. See the amount of time, and time is money. Time is money. You cannot say, okay, but I'm sure I mean, if you look at any kind of business or a billing for that matter, everything is counted in time. So hiring is very important. And during this pandemic, HR, or the so-called TA, talent acquisition team, it's more difficult. Basically, you need to ensure you call the right person. You need to first engage him through a video call. Again, ensure the number of interviews are right. You need to also ensure whether he or she is displaying the right body language, whether he or she is going through some kind of other issues. So everything, every piece of the whole process is important. And for me, let me just tell you, everything boils down to something called an experience. If your TA team is able to give someone an experience, he or she will definitely become your great asset in future. And that's very important at this point, because the whole world is moving towards something called an experience economy. So keeping that in mind, TA plays a significant role in this.
All right. So, what is the one tip, or maybe what is the one advice that you would like to give to the laid off employees or candidates, uh, like to boost their self confidence? What is the one thing?
Get inspired and inspire others also. You should basically, there is nothing called external motivation. I always believe great achievers, great leaders, great dreamers, great doers, they always had intrinsic motivation. So you need to be inspired and start inspiring others. Once you do that, you'll always be supercharged. And that's the only thing my personal advice to my dreamers, doers, and leaders.
That's absolutely awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, would you look when you're hiring a candidate in your organization, the one who may be affected with the pandemic, maybe laid off? How do you look him? How do you treat him first? What is your point of view? What is your point of view? You see him, like when you see him, who is a candidate who has laid off due to the pandemic. Is that in that way, or anything else?
Another striking and the most important question at this point of time. So the important thing we need to understand is, if you look at after May or March, April, May timeframe, most of the important keywords which was appearing in Google search was kindness, empathy, and all those kind of words, happiness, and all those kind of words. So this is again a suggestion from personally from my end. I feel when you're interviewing any candidates at this point of time, bring in a lot of empathy, kindness, and humility, because the fact is everyone is fighting his or her battle on the other side of the life. If a TA person feels I am on the top, I am the whole kind of God kind of thing, I'll decide someone's future, that's not fine. You need to start with his experience. You need to ask him, are you fine? Is the right time? And if someone is not taking the call, please understand he or she is fighting his or her battle on the other side, maybe professionally or the personally. So that kind of humility, kindness, and empathy is the starting point for any of the HRs. And I personally feel technical aspects is something where you can ask, where the associates or any kind of people who are joining in an organization, they can definitely scale up. Now, associates or the employees or people who are listening to this, you need to understand one thing. Technical aspect is only the one thing of the whole thing. It just contributes 35 to 40%. Remaining 60 or 70% is the way you interact. They need to understand that you're a team player. They need to understand that you have an outgoing kind of personality. Maybe I'm not trying to say introverts need to show that, but at least you can gel in a team. Because if you look at the whole pandemic has brought a lot of collaboration, a lot of intergroup kind of cohesiveness. All these words are very, very important. And I feel as long as the associates demonstrate that, Swathi, we would definitely hire anyone for that matter. Because it should not be, and one thing is like your action speaks more than your words. So all associates or anyone who is listening this need to understand, when you're speaking, it automatically comes. And the people who are interviewing you, they would have learned some kind of psychological tools also for that. So my humble request to everyone is try to ensure your skills is only 30 to 40%. Remaining 60% is how you make yourself presentable. Be genuine, being authentic, and ensure that you are a team player. Because this kind of pandemic calls for collaborative skills than anything else. Communication skills is one way to show that you're collaborative. Communication skills shows that you're positive. Communication skills also shows that you're outgoing and you can take up challenges. Thank you.
Yeah, that's really a great insight, Aravind. So yes, I would like to discuss like the reasons behind the layoffs or maybe terminations happening. So there must be two reasons. One will be the financial crisis of the company, where the employee is completely helpless. He cannot do anything. And the second one is the performance issues due to the work from home new normal. So, coming to the performance issues, initially he won't be able to adapt the new normal working from home. He may have some other things to uh, disturbing him. I don't know. Like everybody has different problems. We may not know that. So, performance working from home, the performance actually affect uh, is getting affected due to the other facts as well, because he's working from home, is not able to adapt the new normal, is not able to go outside, his mental health is also getting affected. But these employees are also laid off. So when a candidate who has gone through undergone through this situation is coming to you for a role and you're interviewing that candidate, how would you look, like how would you look him and what do you expect from him?
Okay, good. Uh, just going back to the previous question and just connecting the dots. For us, at least when we do screening and when we do shortlisting, my team members are very, uh, they do their best to understand what kind of personality he or she brings in and there is any kind of fitment with towards our culture. That is very important for us. There is no this one. We have a set guidelines, which basically it's a secret sauce. Basically, why we do that is basically we need to understand if the right fit is not there. Probably we will hire him. He would say that why did I join here? And for us also that could be. But then we really value every associate or any candidate's time. And for that, I'm proud to say that my TA team really puts in extra hours to find out whether we have the right candidate in place, whether from the screening standpoint. Once that is done, probably our technical guys and or my technical panelists are very strong enough to understand. They also do a little bit of psychological kind of interviewing or a behavioral based interviewing or a competency based interviewing to understand how does he or she perform in given situations. So it becomes very important because if you don't have correct competence demonstrated in your technical thing, it will not come to me or to anyone in HR, because the most important thing is more than us, he or she is going to be part of the manager or his group or his team. So if he doesn't understand a set of personality traits of this particular candidate, and if he's not matching the right fit there, then it is of no use HR also trying to do it. But said and done, there have been instances where my HR leader, my TA acquisition leader, Devasri, or she normally checks to understand, okay, but for my team members and for me, this candidate was good. Can I just try to give him a call and try to understand why he did it or maybe why he is not fitting it? So there could be some kind of issues. Let's assume a day before the interview, the guy would have really performed really well. But the day in which he's performing the interview, unfortunately or fortunately, his family member would have affected with the COVID. So we need to understand in depth, because situations vary and personalities vary according to circumstances, context, and other things. So we need to learn or not make any kind of conclusion saying that, okay, this guy is not good, let me just try looking at some other candidates. No, that is not the right way of approaching any kind of talent acquisition process. The TA person has to put a lot of due diligence in finding out if X is done bad, let me just take a call to understand why. Sometimes you never know, your emotional triggers can be something which can get reflected in during interviews, which can lead to an
Absolutely.
bad decision. So I firmly believe, and I have to thank my TA, as I said, my TA leader and her teammates who do this kind of due diligence to find out. And there has been a lot of what do you say, back and forth kind of discussions. I mean, we have a lot of deliberate conversations, or we have deliberate fights also on this, saying that why not, and all those things. And there have been, I mean, instances where we have gone back and hired the candidate also. But that is good. That is why I would insist everyone to have deliberate conversations, not just put the resume because he has not been able to perform during the interviews. I think you never know. You're going to get a fantastic candidate. Probably it's the circumstance or the situation which would have led to that. But then overall, if you've been able to see things in total, you are going to get the best candidate.
Yeah, and I would like to add screening the personal traits and technical interview is an advantage for us.
Absolutely. It's about the fitment, cultural fitment, organization value fitment. There is something called a personal job match, which we try to do it, depending on the situations and depending on the levels and all those things, wherein we try to see my organization or this kind of role has got these many number of traits. If this person has got that, for that we have run a test. And if it is not matching, we don't have much this one, because then also normally we ask questions, because most of the times the reliability and validity cannot be questioned more than this one. So mostly it will be right. And then we still, as I said, at the end, we all are humans. There is no harm in giving someone a chance. Probably if someone has failed, doesn't mean that that's the end. We always would like to take a risk and see if he or she is a great talent. And I'm a firm believer that everyone out there in the world are great talents. It's just that someone fits some organization, someone is not fitting that organization. That's what my thought is.
Yeah, that's really good. Thank you, Aravind.
Thanks.
Yeah, and here I would like to add one more question. So, coming to the startup, actually, their candidates have already in a very confused state of whether to apply for MNC or a startup, because everywhere there is laying offs happening. So he's also in a confused state, and startups are also still hiring. Okay, and
Correct.
they feel it so difficult to get the candidates nowadays, because there comes a security for the job, and candidates thinking level, or maybe their kind of awareness has been increased nowadays due to this. So do you have anything to share with startups who are still hiring?
I'll be proud to say
Anything,
that
any
my,
kind of advice?
yeah, Swati, my thing is like,
Yeah.
I'm very proud to say that ours has been growing organization. We still are in a recruitment spree. We still have a lot of numbers coming up. A lot of positions have opened up. Now, said and done, very important thing I would like to tell everyone out here is, even if you're joining an MNC or for a startup for that matter, just don't go by number of uh, paychecks you're going to get, or number of what do you say, emoluments or anything of that matter. Just try to see if that kind of culture is trying to make you grow in terms of your learning. When you grow up the leadership level, probably earning is good, but as there are a lot of motivational series, what happens is after some time, money is not the only thing which would excite you. It's about the challenges. Now, if you look at, if I have to talk to Generation Z or millennials, what excites them in an organization is not the job. Excuse me, it is not the job. It is about the contribution. If you look at, I can give you the, I'm sure that is also got published in one of the articles from ET, if I'm not wrong. A lot of IITs and IIMs these days, they are not looking for big MNCs. I will not name them, but they have joined small startups, not because of, the salaries are so huge, but they feel there's a sense of pride, there's a sense of purpose. They can do something great, and that greatness is what is the new trait or the new DNA in your Generation Z and millennials. Let's capture that. And I'm sure whoever is listening for that matter, please don't just go behind the salary or the fat checks you're going to get. Please, you should go behind the purpose, whether it's going to really look into my contributions, whether the company would reward or recognize me, not in terms of the fat checks which I'm going to have it in my bank, but whatever I contribute to organization success. Some organizations might not have big, what do you say, luxuries of having all this, what you see for big MNCs, but there would be very good job. There would be, the way the job has been defined is when they try to value your contributions. As long your job, as long your job and the organization values your contribution, please join them. And that is something will make your life more exciting, more challenging, more inspiring. And last but not the least, my this one is basically, I'm proud to say that every day, at least I see is basically my man, my I speak to my leadership quite often, but then He's told, Arvind, you are coming from Infi or those kind of companies. We don't have that kind of big, it's not a structured environment. It's unstructured. Are you okay? So yes, I am okay. He gives me challenge. He says, Arvind, I'm not going to inquire about anything. You do whatever best is possible. So these kind of things will only empower me to do great things, not good things. Because good is the enemy of great. Jim Collins. So I think you should always look for an organization which will excite you to do great things in life, where the purpose of yours is aligned with the purpose of the organization. As long as that is there, money will come. You don't have to go behind the money. It's the same philosophy of 3 idiots in life. Go behind excellence, success will follow.
Absolutely, that was a wonderful insight, Arvind. Even
Thank you.
I myself feel like very very boosted up. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. So coming to the remote workforce. So how is your remote work life?
Remote work life has added a lot of coffees in my life. So it's great. Yeah, nowadays, the only thing is I'm actually a social person. I hardly don't sit because every Saturday, Sundays, I happen to go to a lot of colleges. I have to meet a lot of students, great leaders of future. I do that. So now what has happened is this called Zoom and Gmeet has put me a lot of fatigue. I'm having a lot of more than normal. I get a lot of headaches these days, and I landed up buying a new glasses also. So it was good, but I at some point of time I would like to come back. Maybe I'm waiting for this December. At least the vaccine is in place. Remote working per se, maybe it's a new norm, but I always feel we all should be equipping ourselves at least for next 6 to 8 months, or maybe at least mid of 21 till you have the proper vaccines in place. Because even if you have vaccines, I'm sure people would be very reluctant to come to office. People would be very reluctant to take risks. So I think we have to be part of this now, and change is always little painful, but it's good. And I'm sure
Yeah.
now no one would ask for working from home for at least 4 or 5 years. The policy will get be thrown out. Thank you.
Yeah. True. Yeah. True. So let me ask you something related to that. So how do you assess the behavior of a remote ready workforce? So behavior, which includes the how do you implement the work culture remotely, and how do you assess the performance, the individual performance, and how do you try to implement that organizational behavior remotely? Like, does it working? How do you do that?
Brilliant. Very, very striking question. This is something which I'm getting for the second time. Uh, so I think very important thing is two things. This is something which again I learned from my leadership. Immediately soon of the pandemic, one of the important things we did is we have something called a virtual unite kind of sessions, which is happening every month. One. Second is basically we have something called the portfolio or the delivery side. Those leaders do connects every month, which is basically it may not be one to one. It is basically done in so-called Zooms and meets, G meets, and all those things. The most important thing is during pandemic, every leader, let it be from a project manager to a delivery head, anyone, you need to understand one thing: people are fighting their battle on the other side, and they need a listening here. I think as an HR, we also do one-to-ones. We do something called bring your coffee kind of connects, wherein we ask our CEO, CTO, or CEO takes time out. Let me be, I'm very proud to say that they take time out and they are part of the sessions, and we don't have any kind of delayering here. Anyone, and it's basically done randomly. One of my teammates, she does that. And then we have connect informal basis. We don't even talk about what is the project status unless and until someone brings it. Otherwise, it's like you can bring your family. We have coffee together. In a normal scenario, it would have been like we would have got a lot of, what do you say, coffee and snacks inside the office. Now my CEO has informed us that every week at least 2 times in a month, 2 times we do that connect from an SC to any level. It is not like, and that too across portfolios and that too across any project, so that the connect is there. And I think that is the need of the hour: proactive communication, kindness, humility, and empathy. Please just do this. The culture will be set. And I'm sure great organizations only do this: constant and consistent communication. For that, you don't have any expense. It's just that you have to shell out a lot of some time for that. And as long you're giving listening ears, you'll have all the engagement levels or the scores will only go up. It will not come down. I am a firm believer of that.
Yeah, so I think the employee engagement should change in these ways.
Absolutely. You
Yeah,
nailed it.
right. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, so what are the technologies that you're looking for your future requirements? Maybe for hiring, or maybe talent acquisition, or employee engagement, candidate engagement, anything of that sort.
Okay, now thanks, Swati. You're helping me to sell the roles and positions. Actually, we have a lot of requirements coming from so-called React and Node.js, also .NETs of the world. We have a lot of positions open on that front. So we are getting customer requirements are also scaling up in these three areas at least. At least the JS side, the JavaScript side, a lot of things are opening up. So yes, anyone wants, you can definitely ping me separately or mail me also. I'll definitely try to see it goes to my TA head, Devasri, and from there how things get, shapes up. That's what I would like to see. Definitely a lot of openings are there, and it's an inspiring thing also for us.
All right. So, and one last question to you, Aravind. So it has been 3 months since you're with Rapid Value. What is the
3 years,
change
yeah,
that you
3 years, yeah,
experience in
3 years.
yourself?
Okay, uh, 3 years. Uh, every day, I've not come for doing any job. I have to let me just tell everyone this secret. I am not excited by coming here. I'm not doing any job. No. The only thing is I am excited with the purpose which is driven by my three leaders, Rajesh, Dinesh, and Sirish. And what excites me is I only come to my organization to contribute. I am not there. I am not working for Rapid Value. I'm only contributing to my organization. And that contribution ensures I don't get proper sleep. Not I'm saying with a lot of positivity, because once you are in tune with the purpose, that becomes an excitement. And you don't look at time. That brings to something like an OB topic called organization citizenship behavior or a discretionary behavior, wherein you always see how you can contribute, how you can ensure my organization reaches the peak level of excellence, how I can make a, what do you say, how I can help someone to build career. Because at the end, my my associates, I'm proud to say that every Rapidite is my asset. They believe that the organizations can make a difference in their career, so it becomes a very very important factor for an HR to do and ensure that kind of delivery of their career is met, because people come with a lot of hopes of building their careers in an organization, and as long if we can fulfill that, that is where HR excellence starts. And that journey is not the end, that is the start of the journey. And every time you need to understand how you can raise the bar of experience, because you don't buy an Apple phone just because it's an Apple product. No, you buy Apple products because it gives you an experience. I'm not trying to say that I don't have any comms against a Samsung or an Oppo or any kind of products, but I feel the world is moving towards experience, and that's why employee experience is the most important norm of this 21st century.
Yeah, yeah. So, I'm like, I think I should add this question as well. So, what do you have to say to the HR executives? Because even they are dreaming of becoming a person like who you are now.
Oh,
So, what do you have to tell them?
okay. I happen to because I facilitate. I'm an evangelist of design thinking. I always tell my HR to see things from really from a point where you don't know anything about the employee. Start empathizing with them. Try to see how you can, even when you're writing a mail to an associate, try to see there is a way to say no also, but never I understand you can be blunt, but there are some associates who always try to see the HR is great. Make all your employees your promoter, not your detractors. And that how you can do it by shifting your lens from a transactional to a transformational kind of thing. Don't just write a mail or just do an engagement program to ensure your KRA kitty is met. No, just see whether through my words, action, and thoughts, you can impact someone's career. Can I give an experience every morning when you are getting up? Try to see, can I give an experience to XYZ? If you're able to do that, that's where HR is making a difference. That's, I think that is a key area or key result area of the future. The KPIs have to be moving from the checklist to something called an experience. Employee, even the person who is leaving on the last day, just thank him, give him a thanking card, makes a difference. He might say, come on, my boss irritated me, but then here is someone is recognizing me even for 6 months of contribution to 1 year of contribution. Thank you. They will become your promoter. They will say that, okay, my at least RapidValue HRs and RapidValue people are treating me like something that, and I've seen people taking back their resignations. I am proud to say that. People cry, and they have always helped me, my TA team, to get more profiles. So it depends on the way you treat your people and all your employees. And I mean it, all your employees are your key assets. They are your promoters, no one else. And your action, thoughts, and words should be in sync with their experiences. Sometimes some things you cannot, but there's a way to tell that also. And HR should learn that art. It is not, and one important thing is be authentic, very authentic, be transparent. And always a good smile will always give you more rewards. Some people, when employees brings a problem, you would have seen frown face. Why the hell have you come to me? No, you should see that that's an opportunity for you to learn. That's an opportunity for you to contribute. And believe me, you need to understand one thing. For HR, the customers are your employees, no one else. If you have that kind of thing, like what Gandhiji said, if you have that, you need to understand that all my employees are my customers. And if you don't treat or take care of your customers, customers will leave you, and they will definitely say bad about you. Even whatever comes in your LinkedIn's or so-called any kind of connect, have the patience to respond to them. Don't treat them as why the hell they have come to me. No, you never know. And I think great HR leaders have always done this. Males, to whatever they speak, they have created an impact. They change someone's career. Thank you. I'm sorry I spoke more because I was emotionally, that question was really touching one, Swathi. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Arun. I'm so thankful for you accepting our
It's my
invite
pleasure.
for our first episode. Yeah.
I'm thankful
So that's
to
pretty
everyone out
much
there.
for today. That's pretty much for
Thank
today,
you.
Aravind. And it was pleasure talking to you,
Same here.
and hoping more interaction in
Sure.
future.
It's my pleasure. No, thanks to Swati and the
Go
best of
ahead.
HR for this fantastic platform. I think when whatever is being shared, probably at least 1 or 2 persons can be impacted from this. My day is made. So thank you very much.
Absolutely, because
Yeah.
Absolutely, because this is a topic which has been really stuck in many people's mind, and they really have no idea how to respond to situations. They need to respond or react. They're really confused.
Fantastic.
So I think they all might have get into an conclusion where how things are happening. Yeah. So thank you so much, Aravind, and
Thank you.
let's do the second episode with another special guest. Until then,
Sure.
bye bye and take care. Yeah.
Thank you. Wishing you the same. Stay safe and stay blessed. Thank you.